Good evening and welcome to the Demolition Daily Livestream. I'm your host, Mark Anthony, and that's our first full week of lockdown part two over and done with. Tonight, you find me confused and even more befuddled than usual. It's weird out there, isn't it? Where are we right now? What the hell is going on? We'll be right back after this. There's an expression: a rising tide lifts all boats. The expression means that an upswing in the economy benefits everyone. Presumably, if that's true, then it's safe to assume that a falling tide will lower all boats. In other words, a downturn will impact everyone. Yeah, I'm looking at the activity within the UK demolition industry at the moment, and I'm just struck by an overwhelming disparity. There are some companies out there whose boats appear to be filled with a combination of helium and rocket fuel. They're not just riding high on the tide, but they're rising above it. Yet there are other companies out there that appear to have been damaged below the waterline, that are taking on water, and that appear destined for Davy Jones' locker. I'm currently aware of at least two companies that have apparently closed their doors in the past few weeks. I'm also aware of several more that are thought to be teetering on the brink. But I'm also aware of a number of companies that are on a recruitment drive, that are investing in expensive new equipment, that are still expanding while others retract. It's as if half the industry knows something, the other half doesn't. That wasn't the case back in 2008 and 2009 when the last recession hit. When that recession hit, the aftershocks were felt right across the board. Oh, sure, some companies were better equipped to withstand that initial impact, but there wasn't a demolition company in the land that didn't feel the pain of that sudden downturn. Yet here we are, almost a decade later, and the impact of the COVID lockdown, Brexit, and the wider economic jitters seems to be selective in its impact. Did some companies learn a valuable lesson from the recession and just take precautions against another sudden downturn? Did some companies fail to heed the lessons of the past and are now being sideswiped by economic factors that are way beyond their control? I honestly don't know the answer. But what I do know is that the UK demolition industry looks set to lose several more of its combatants at a time when other companies doing precisely the same kind of work are seemingly flying high. As I said at the outset, it makes no sense. Despite the presence of a great deal of optimism among some companies, I'm fearful for the short-term health of the wider industry. One of my friends and a fellow industry watcher reckons we could lose several more demolition companies before Christmas, and is predicting we might lose more early in the new year. Another has suggested that the sector could lose as much as a third of all its contractors if the current situation continues. I sincerely hope they're both wrong. I hope their fears are overstated and the companies prove more resilient than we all believe. But for all that, I will be genuinely amazed if we have as many contractors at the end of 2021 as we currently have as we approach the end of 2020. All of which makes the recruitment and investment currently being undertaken by some companies all the more confusing. Now, talking of things I find confusing, and there are many, when I'm not sat here with a microphone shoved under my nose, I spend a lot of time on the phone speaking to demolition folk, chasing up the latest news, hearing the latest gossip, and otherwise chewing the fat and just generally avoiding work. Not surprisingly, the current economic situation is top of the agenda during most of these chats. And I find it amazing just how much the suggested solutions to the onset of another recession are from one company to another. I spoke to one company this morning who insisted that their focus was entirely upon demolition, that they had made a conscious decision to just stick to what they know. Not half an hour later, I was speaking to another demolition company that insisted that diversification was the path to salvation, that demolition alone could not sustain a company of their size. Now, demolition is and always has been a horses for courses industry. There's never been a blueprint for what constitutes the perfect demolition company. But the juxtaposition of pure demolition is the only way and demolition alone is no longer enough was absolutely jarring. I guess that only time will tell which of these two options will prove to be the most accurate. For now, I'm just going to add all this to my list of things I find confusing, and it'll go right alongside the rules of rugby, Donald Trump's hair, and the global fascination with the Kardashians. Now, just one more thing before I sign off for the evening. Our Christmas range of clothing is now available in our merch store. I won't bore you with the details, but you will find a link to the store in the description to this episode. I'll be back here again tomorrow, same time, same place, with another ramble from the dark recesses of my restless brain. I have no idea what tomorrow's subject might be. If you haven't figured it out by now, I actually make this stuff up as I go along. Now, we have had a couple of comments. Let's see if I can get those over. Hard times ahead. Yeah, I fear you're absolutely right there, sir. Andy Bolton, it's true. Yeah, absolutely. Nick Drew, you're an absolute legend. He's just ordered one of the Wreck the Halls sweatshirts. I'm sure it will look damn fetching on you, sir. Let me have a look. We've got some comments here. I don't know the answer to this one. Dirty Harry, is Commons going under? I have reported today that they've got an auction coming up, which you have made reference to here. Yeah, I didn't see the 954s. I don't honestly know what to say with that. I haven't been able to get hold of anyone from Coleman's today. I am aware of the sale, and I will be watching it very, very closely. Oddly enough, in all my talk about the companies that I am being led to believe are in trouble, their name wasn't actually on the list. But yeah, we shall see. I hope that's not the case. I don't want anybody to go out of business. It's tough enough out there without anybody else going. But we will be watching it very closely. And given the fact that the rest of the demolition press doesn't seem interested in this kind of thing, we will be probably the only people reporting on it. So keep checking back to demolitionnews.com. As I said, I'm going to be here again, same time, same place tomorrow, 6 o'clock on Friday evening. So fetch yourself a beverage of your choosing, and I will see you over there right then. Until then, look after yourselves, stay safe, stay solvent, look after your family, your friends, and your colleagues, and I will see you again